Well,
Peter, remind me to do this, right?
Okay.
well, wait a minute. Before you go, is Chris Bradbury signed off? Is he done? Is he?
And Dave, you asking me that question? Just want to make
Yeah.
sure. Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah. So again, the draft that Chris prepared and then Peter modified, is that what you're referring to?
Well, yeah. I mean, Chris initiated this, and we've all sort of said it's got to end with him, so to speak, and that he's got to give his blessing before we go out to all these other municipalities. So,
Well, yeah, well, the next step is that again, they say getting past this stage right now is agreeing on that whole draft. Anyone has any questions or comments? So that's the most immediate next hurdle to get by.
Yeah, but in fairness, I think we did hear back that Chris was good with the format that the draft is now in.
right.
Okay. And there's which means he's looked at the more recent draft that I think everybody has looked at. And that content was, very, very close to, what he was proposing. So
Last week, Greg and I had a
Yeah,
conversation
we
with
had to
Chris
talk
for
with Chris.
about 30 minutes about this very issue. And he doesn't have any real problems with it,
No.
but I am going to run the final draft by him because he's going to be the one sending it out to the other communities.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
Can I ask a basic question?
Yeah.
Like, what is this? Because previously we had like a resolution that said like whereas and whatever, now for resolved. This is like the background briefing. So I guess
That's one of the things that have been changed. This has all then been incorporated with the appropriate knowledge. That's what Chris Bradbury did. So the next version you see, which is going to be soon, will have
Okay.
that language and a place for people to sign on page 6.
Yeah, Greg, there are the whereases and there are the, further resolved and the adopted date and signature. It's all in there now.
Okay. Like in the latest version went around, or did I miss that?
No,
No,
not quite yet.
we haven't sent,
Okay,
we're
okay,
waiting
okay.
to get all the comments. The deadline for comments was today.
I see.
That now we're going to do what we do, and Peter is keeping the draft at the moment, so he will convert that into a final copy, and that is what we will distribute.
And is that going to be
Hopefully-
6 pages long, or is that going to be?
No, I think this week.
It
assuming you
is
have
6
the time.
pages. Yeah, we're shooting
Yeah.
for 6 pages.
Yeah, we're not. Yeah,
it's the
the
same
hard stop at 6.
it's essentially the same content and substance. The whereas is, add some length.
One
But
page. Yeah.
yeah, but basically it's the same content, and then with some further, I would say, certainly non-material, substantive and grammatical and whatever changes based on the feedback we've gotten so far from people.
Yeah, right now it's 5.5 pages roughly, and all the what Chris added to make it into a resolution adds half a page roughly. So
Well, I'm
It's-
just
it's good.
looking because I knew you'd ask this, Nick. There's a full page worth of first page and last page of whereases. So otherwise, we're still at 5 pages.
Yeah. And then there's the appendix with all the
One
papers.
page.
Yeah.
One page with links.
Yeah, well, okay, but they don't have, I don't know who's going to use the links, but they have to be available.
But that's the way it should be.
Exactly.
So,
Sounds good.
Martha, Greg, do you have any comments you want to make?
Well, I'd like to
John,
just
too, sorry.
discuss 5B, which was the noise question, Peter, that we discussed a little bit by email.
Sure.
I don't know if you want to, it's the noise profile item. If somebody wants to bring it up on their screen, John, if you can easily do that, otherwise I can share my screen.
I cannot. I think Peter's got it. Are you bringing it up, Peter?
Well, so if we're not going to talk about the latest draft, I just assume let Martha bring it up.
We can talk about, there's only 3 people who haven't seen it, so we can talk about the latest draft, right? And it's just one point on the latest draft has only got, beyond the whereases, 5 or 6 changes, and they're all brief relative to the earlier draft.
All right. Well, my
Okay.
my count's a little different, but they
All
are
right,
all,
all right.
substantively, I think you're right. Okay, so then let me just bring up what I have, and Martha, if it's not reflecting, you just let me know. Okay.
Okay.
Um, Here we go.
You have the red line version that I sent
Yeah.
you?
Well,
No. Okay.
at this point, I have this, which is
Okay. All right. There it is. 5B. This is the only one I had a question about. So it's very,
Okay.
very, so it looks like there you've incorporated the change, but maybe it's still up for discussion. I changed it to say what it says there currently. Consider if restrictions on the size and type of aircraft are needed to reduce noise impacts. So what I was getting at there was the prior language it said consider more modernized aircraft or updated technologies are available. Well, that's sort of a non-actionable item, right? But in the TUA, there are restrictions on the size of aircraft there. And if we can correlate noise profiles with the sizes of aircraft limitations that are in the TUA, perhaps that is a change in a future TUA that the county may want to make according to the new finding about association with noise profiles. So that's where I was going with that. So that's actionable to say, to consider if there should be restrictions as opposed to just consider if there are technologies out there. Just trying to make it a little stronger and tie it to what actions the county could actually take.
So I've incorporated all suggestions with notes, Martha. I would love nothing better than to include something like that. However, I personally can't. I don't think I can support including that because I think it would. I think it runs counter to federal law and FAA regulations. I don't think, and therefore could undermine the credibility of our larger project with the powers that be.
All right. So, but just let me stop you right there. We already in the TUA limit the size of aircraft to a maximum length of 107 feet in 2 positions, maximum 130 feet in the other 2 positions. Maximum wingspan for any aircraft using the terminal ramp is 115 feet. Right. So if based on those limitations, you find bigger or smaller aircraft have a better noise profile, that could be useful information to use as the basis for future TUAs. Correct? That's what I'm getting at. If
I hear you.
correlates specifically with what is in the terminal use agreement today.
I understand that it seems to, but the specifics of what is in the terminal use agreement are quite specifically there because they go back to the policies that were in place before the 1990 ANCA law that restricted local limitations on airport operations. So they're grandfathered in, and the fact that there is this type of restriction, which, by the way, again, only applies to commercial airlines, not the overall usage of the airport, including the 85% usage that is not commercial airlines. The fact that that is there does not mean that we can create, that we can create different but similar restrictions based on, common sense and policy.
Okay. All right. So why don't we just take the sentence out altogether? Because considering whether these technologies are useful or not is just too wishy-washy for my taste. I prefer it just be out altogether. What's the point? I mean, this is creating useful information about which aircraft, maybe it's just for the purpose of creating some kind of a database and I don't know, shaming certain airlines because they use noisy aircraft. I don't know where this noise profile item is going based on what's written here. So what's your intent as to where this actual item is leading? What would be the outcome of collecting this information about these aircraft?
So I think one of the things, right, is if, particularly on the private jet side, if you're moving to larger private jets that are noisier, right, because they measure number of GA aircraft, right, and they have a couple of buckets. But if you're going up to a larger Gulfstream or something like that, and they're noisier, bigger ones, so without explicitly saying what type of, sort of without saying what you want to do with it, but if you get the information, then you can then understand, is there a shift going on within the different aircraft? Is it getting noisier because you have larger airplanes or whatever else, right? Just sort of get them to report it, and then you can figure out what to do with it later.
Okay, so the purpose is to create sort of a database of information about the major sources of annoying noise problems around the airport. That's the
Right.
intent, right? Okay.
But we could also potentially, if we keep the reference to modernized aircraft and updated technologies as opposed to size and type, and we change restrictions to promotion, we could say, correlate noise complaints with the type of aircraft corresponding to the complaints, identify ways to promote more modernized aircraft or updated technologies.
Great. Great. I love that.
You're okay with that, Martha?
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, part of my problem was just not really understanding what was being done with this. And if the idea is that you're going to use that information to then, on the website promote, our noise profile, show that these kind of aircraft produce less noise, and we'd like to encourage use of more of this type of aircraft as opposed to these types of aircraft at the airport. It's just good information.
Okay.
And in the future could result in, more restrictions on the private side use. Perhaps. Right. So
All right.
it would start to build a database information that could be helpful in the future.
How does that look to you now?
Okay, let me see. Correlate noise complaints with the type of aircraft, warning complaints, identify ways to promote more modernized aircraft, update technology to reduce noise. Fine. I'm good with that.
Well, wait a minute. Instead of to reduce noise impacts, shouldn't it be that reduced noise impacts?
Sure.
Even better, Nick.
Mm.
That sounds great.
All right.
And with that, I have no other comments. I
Whoa.
thought the rest of the document was really good. I mean, you incorporated my other items, right? So
Yep.
it looked great. Thank you for all your hard work.
So just staying on noise, on E, noise monitoring.
What was your question?
So I guess we have this, not to use the word wishy-washy again, but sort of, does it make sense to call out specific measurements, right? Because right now it's the DNL day night average level, like TA, time above, or SEL, instead of just sort of saying.
No, wait a minute.
Stuff.
The specific thing should be in the paper. This is a summary. So keep in mind what this is.
Yeah, remember the reader is going to not know what any of those things are you just mentioned, right? So
Yeah,
I tried to make it just more vernacular. And so I made this change to say over short durations focused on overhead transit of the aircraft instead of those daytime, nighttime averages.
yeah. So I guess, but then would we not ask for them to do something specific, or so that I guess what would be the point of this thing? Just to sort of tell them to figure it out, or do we want to actually suggest what to do?
Wait a minute. Let's keep in mind, this document is going to the municipalities for them to review and approve. The group that's going to be organizing the master plan for the county is probably going to need to look at not only this, but then also all the individual papers. And so the more detailed information and suggestions and comments should be in those papers.
Okay.
This is a boiled down summary that
This
we
is very
tried to
simple.
make as
Okay.
short as possible so the municipalities don't get
Okay.
bogged down in it.
But I think,
Okay.
but I think to your point, Greg, the idea here is that if we're talking about a master plan and what we're going to potentially look to spend money on at the airport, that one of those things should be more and better measurements and data on noise, so that, so then over time, as that over time, that data can be used by the county and other stakeholders to suggest better policies at the airport. And by better measurements, we're specifically calling out the ability to quickly understand not just that, day-night average, but the peaks of noise impacts in the areas that are being measured.
Okay.
All right, Greg, okay. Can we go show Greg what the FBO comments were, Peter?
Yeah.
There we go.
So, so with respect to seat limits, it was really just a clarity and language suggestion, which is right here.
The original draft had that can, but I think you meant cannot there, Peter.
Well, that's right, and
Okay.
I incorporated your
Got it.
correction.
Got it.
So there was that change in wording, although I don't think it's a change in meaning, but it's a condensation and a clarity change there. And then under D, there we're putting forth a couple of language changes. Number one, referencing private hangar redevelopment as opposed to FBO expansion, which just seems more plain English and getting at the crux of this. And again, sort of actionable versus more versus less actionable language, promote modernization, but restrict expansion, as opposed to just carefully consider requests. And I think that, so I think the rest is still basically just a matter of clarity and not substance.
Make aging without the E. That's the British spelling.
We're British all of a sudden?
I guess we are. Thank you.
Okay.
Geez, July 4th is only a few weeks ago, and we've already forgotten.
Well, we can say we're Australian then.
Right.
Okay. Any other questions or suggestions about this?
Well, I guess should we really try to fit in that the county should ensure that it has a robust process to weigh the potential community benefits against the community costs? That might make a good final sentence for this paragraph.
Where are you coming up with that
In the
language?
middle where it was struck. See, the county should ensure. That might be a good final sentence here.
It is the final sentence.
To the extent
No,
that
it's been stricken.
to ensure
The idea of having a robust process to weigh the potential community
It
benefits.
does. It says full and formal
it does.
analysis as well as a robust public input and our operational. So that thought is in the last sentence.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and I think, and that was in the original language, so I think it was a condensation.
Okay.
Okay. See, Nick, there were efforts to make sure this thing did not get longer.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right. Let me just see. This expansion paragraph under noise considerations would, just got some changes that might be worth people looking over. Subparagraph G. So I think this was me, and I changed the focus from operations to infrastructure, which is really where the county has control, legal control. It gets into hot water with the FAA when it tries to limit operations in any way beyond well, in any way other than what the infrastructure can safely support.
Right. So if you put a new hangar closer to a residential area, for instance, you have, planes coming in and out of that, it would adversely affect those residents from a noise perspective. That's what you're after, right? So you would avoid that kind of expansion under this because of that impact.
I mean, it's really key here because we have aging infrastructure at the airport, and gathering momentum or gathering interest on the part of aviation stakeholders to redevelop, renovate, replace those facilities. In many, in the cases we've seen thus far, that always goes along with expansion of the facility. Yeah. And despite protestations that the goal is not to make the airport busier, just rather to modernize and improve on safety, sustainability, security, et cetera, that's the proverbial camel's nose in the tent. And once you build it, you can't unbuild it, and you can't, I have yet to see anyone explain how you can limit the use in a way other than what it can, other than what it was built for. You can't limit it because you'd like to, you're happy with a bigger facility as long as it doesn't increase traffic. If you build a bigger facility that can enable increased traffic, you kind of are stuck then with that increased traffic when and if it comes.
All right. I'm good with that.
Yeah, no, it's fine. And, it might not just be a building, right? It could be changes to the parking structure, changes to the surface roads, or, a lot of infrastructure changes could impact noise.
Exactly.
So I think that the way that's written covers all of those.
Great. All right. And really, other than a cleaning up a word or so here and there, I think those are I think that covers the comments and suggestions we've gotten so far.
Great.
Okay.
Good job.
John, do you have any questions or comments or thoughts about the document that concern you, or you're interested in a bigger explanation?
No, I don't. I'm following along, and I think you've hit the nail right on the head. One of the things I'm thinking about is the impact that it will have, and the analogy I'll make. I'll correspond this to our representative town meeting. Our legislative body in Greenwich technically has no authority other than to cut budget items, but we do have a mechanism known as the sense of the meeting resolution, and that's what gets forwarded to our elected officials. And it's not binding by any stretch of the imagination, but they've yet to turn down anything that we voted on as a sense of the meeting. I'm hoping that this has that same impact of, well, we're just a bunch of people getting together, but by the way, we're representing all of you. I'm hoping they take this to heart. The variable there that worries me is the FAA, which can do anything they want. So I'm cautiously optimistic, and I very much like the document as it stands now.
Oh, good.
Great.
And I
Let
think-
me add, if I could, just an offer, not advocating for this, but I recently, in my role as the chair of the Rybrook Village Airport Advisory Council, I gave an update on the status of airport issues and concerns and such to our village board. That was well received. And in the past, with a different hat on, either when I was serving on the county airport advisory board or in my role on the nonprofit airport coalition to prevent airport expansion, I've done similar things with other municipal boards and officials. So if anybody would like, we'll pick the hat that makes the most sense, probably the coalition hat. Because I wouldn't go anywhere else to represent Rybrook per se. But with the coalition hat on, I'm certainly can be available to help educate and provide context and such to to whatever municipality or officials or groups within that municipality thinks they could benefit.
Peter, that's a nice offer. Let me just ask a question. When you've made those presentations, are they in writing?
No, but they've been video recorded.
Because what might be just also very useful is if you had some pertinent notes that you could hand out to people who have to stand in front of their municipal boards and explain things to them a little bit.
So
just-
I think that if we took, it's got to be an app, right? That will take a video and condense it, and then I can edit it. But if we took that recent presentation, I think it was fairly, I think it covered a lot of the the principles and issues that have occupied us in this task force, and it could be, if anyone thinks it could be helpful, I'd be happy to to do that.
Well, I'm just thinking of somebody standing up there like myself or Martha, and you have 2 or 3 minutes to kind of frame the issue, and then you say, "This is what we're presenting," and they have it there. Because I don't really want to go through this point by point, our 6 pages, but I want to be able to kind of frame the issue for them.
Oh, you know what? Thank you. That's clarifying. And I mean, so I would certainly be willing to try to take a hand at drafting a template,
An outline form. All it has to do is outline form.
Because
a framing statement.
It's my understanding that
Just as a suggestion.
artificial intelligence can produce a transcript of what you said at the meeting. So that might make it a lot easier to work from.
Yeah, though in fairness to Nick, he's looking for 2 or 3 minutes,
for
not
you
20
to
to
work
30
from
minutes.
to get the key points out, right?
Yeah, no, exactly.
Not for Nick to read.
No, I get it. I get it.
And John, I think one thing to keep in mind, we've seen all the papers that people have produced. People have done a lot of good work and they've worked really hard. So I think that's kind of impressive when it comes down to telling the officials in Greenwich, look, this was a serious effort. We've identified important issues. It's important that all the communities around the airport get behind it. And because you have the papers there, tell them, look, if you have any questions about any of the issues, look at the papers. They're the embedded links.
John, I don't think we're going to get any pushback from Greenwich. The past go around has been incredibly positive, and we recognize the value in partnering with you, and we're hoping that our voice lends a little bit more credibility to something that I would expect would be universally accepted by everybody except the airlines and the FBOs. But to that end, I also, as we're talking about this, I'm thinking our goal, if you boil it down to just a couple of sentences, it's progress without destruction. Yeah, we want modernization, but we don't want you tearing down the neighborhoods to do this. So we're not coming at this from a negative point of view. We're looking at it from a positive point of view. There's nothing wrong with restrictions as long as they're reasonable, and our suggestions are reasonable. So you'll get no pushback from Greenwich. We might take a little longer to get things done.
Yeah, that's fine.
We're going to support it.
Okay. Anyone else have any further issues they want to raise or questions that they is pressing on them?
Do they, I haven't read the whereas clauses, but I think somewhere at the beginning, it's important to stress that we as a group support and appreciate the role that having the airport there, you know, the value of it to the surrounding communities. And that the comments and suggestions and so forth that are made as part of this resolution are, you know, are made with that in mind as a basis, as a starting point. That everybody appreciates the economic value and the convenience value of having the airport there. No question. I think everybody was just unanimously in agreement on that. If without that, I think you do get the sense that maybe this is just a series of gripes or complaints about things that need to change, when in fact, these are all, you know, substantive suggestions for improvement. But I think that the value of that facility and having it there is, you know, is not to be undervalued, and I think it should be expressed in some way.
I think you're exactly right, Martha. And I think that what we're asking for is for them to be good neighbors, just like they want us to be good neighbors.
Right. So I don't know if that's planned to be expressed in a, you know, shorter words, but I think just a brief statement saying unanimously, and we've talked about it in our discussions in the committee on the task force. Everyone agrees that it's great to have it there. Having the airport there is a, you know, significant and appreciated asset to Westchester County and the surrounding communities.
I think a sentence in the very first paragraph, we'll have to carefully craft it, because remember, we don't want to get them thinking we're in favor of expansion, however defined.
Correct.
But we
Correct.
do want to say we recognize it's a contributing asset for the area.
It's a contributing, you know, economically, you know, for passenger travel, whatever. You know, I just think it's important that we recognize that it is an asset. And that our comments are all made with that as an underlying premise.
Yeah, let's work on some wording for that, Peter. I can
Okay.
see you're thinking hard right now.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what I was doing is just double checking to see if anything explicit was in the preambulatory clause or the first paragraph, and I think the answer is no, it's not there. So
Yeah, I agree.
I think, you know, it'd be a great first whereas clause, whereas the task force recognizes the economic importance of Westchester County Airport to the surrounding communities, or something like that. Just brief, you know?
The first whereas just kind of describes what the task force is, which it should.
Right. Okay.
yeah, but
Maybe
I
the
mean,
second one, whereas the task force unanimously agrees that this airport
Yeah,
is a
yeah, it could
community
be,
asset.
Peter, it could be
Something like
working
that.
with a second whereas, you know, the task force composed of volunteers, blah, 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 recognizes blah, 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 the outstanding
right,
contribution.
recognizes blah blah, and has
and
identified key
yeah,
areas of concern. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, it's a good idea, Martha.
Because then it really sets this up as being a balanced document. You know, we appreciate it, but we also have these comments and concerns instead of just sounding like it's all negative. At least it puts it out there as a starting point.
No, that's fine.
I mean, can it be as simple as the task force composed of community volunteers with expertise in this, that, and the other thing, recognizes the economic and practical benefits of the county airport,
And has identified key areas of concern.
and has identified key areas of concern.
Great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good job, Thomas Jefferson.
All right. Awesome. Good. Good.
Sure,
Excellent.
going back to
Sounds
July
good.
4th, aren't we?
All right. Okay.
Yeah, I think the next version everybody will get to see. Let's get them to focus on that, because let's make sure everybody's on board with the way it's worded. I think everybody be on board with the sentiment. But
Right.
let's question are they happy with the way it's worded?
Okay. I think it sounds pretty good as drafted, but it'd be good to see it in context of everything else. So,
All right.
If you want, I can just put it up now, and everyone can, the folks here can just take a very quick look at it.
Yeah, do it. Do it.
Okay. Okay. Can people see the second whereas clause,
Yes.
Yeah.
or all three? There you go. Oops. Apologies for that.
Yeah, that's right, because that links it to recognizing the important, but we've identified key areas of concern.
Yeah. I was going to say to put the and there. Yep.
Yeah.
Is there any value in mentioning that one of the board is also a pilot who learned at Westchester? Because that would be me. So I've got some aviation expertise to lend to this.
Absolutely. Planning, law, aviation, and engineering.
sounds even better.
Yeah.
Are you still flying?
No, I've given it up. I decided to just set fire to money instead.
I thought that's what aviation was.
Yeah, that's boating.
All right.
Both.
Okay.
All right.
Good.
That sounds great. Yeah, that's great. Good improvement.
Yep. Absolutely. Great.
All right. So when are we meeting again as a whole group after everyone's had a chance to do this? Look at it.
Well, if I can reach, it's a question of, well, I'm going to reach out to the people who aren't here individually. I'm talking to Rich Flood sometime later this week, for example. Michelle, I thought she was going to be on the call, but obviously isn't. But that would mean the place we're kind of missing then is Portchester. So I want to make sure we've got at least one representative from each of the municipalities that has had an opportunity to ask questions. I don't think this is going to take too long.
Well, can we set it up for a week from today or 2 weeks from today?
For the final approval, I would guess. Because I'll reach out to them before then, and then we'll get together and people will have a final approval. That's what you have in mind?
Yes.
Yeah, so 2 weeks from today would be August 4th. Does that work for everybody?
Works for me.
Yeah.
Works for me.
Okay.
Works for me.
Great.
Oh, let me also say I am unfortunately out of pocket next week, and the people we have to reach are the ones, as I say, Portchester, Rich Flood I'm talking to this week, Michelle I hope to reach this week. Jill Axelrod has not been an active participant. James Benton, Greg, could you reach out to him?
Yep, I can follow up with him.
And I'll ask Michael to reach out to Larry Rusi. That'll cover it all off. So then in 2 weeks, we ought to have everybody had an opportunity to, understand what's going on. And we'll try to get out this latest draft this week, maybe, Peter.
Sure.
You're in good shape. We got to solve the technical problem of Peter, how to attach the embedded links to the papers.
No, honestly, I think we're there. If you look at
You're
my
gonna
latest,
do it? Are you gonna be able to do it? Okay.
yeah, look at my latest email reply to you, and I think
All right.
we'll get it done.
Nick, did you try to open the links in that draft I sent the other day?
I have been out of pocket for
Oh, okay,
days,
that's right,
so.
that's right. Well, if you get a chance this week, just make sure they worked for Martha, they worked for me,
John,
for Peter, but Peter,
But
John.
sometimes they cause problems for people who don't have a Microsoft account
Right.
or, and that, so that makes it somewhat limiting. So I agreed, I followed the email chain and Peter's suggestion to use the, have them all as PDFs. I think is a good one. And so the links, just so I understand, where will the documents
boy,
actually reside? Are they going to be on a website somewhere?
I think we'll give them to the village. I think it would be appropriate to give them to the village of Rybrook, which of course doesn't stop other municipalities then from downloading them and maintaining them themselves.
Okay, so the website we've been using at Rybrook will use the same website as the
Yeah.
repository.
we can put them all there for those who have any
Great.
problem.
Those links always worked well for me, and so I think that's a good solution.
And if necessary, we convert them to PDFs. I mean, that's not the end of the world.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah,
takes-
I think the documents that get posted there should be the PDFs because
Right.
yeah,
Yeah.
not the Word documents, because Word documents get jumbled when you look at them on a phone or if you look at them on a mobile device of any kind. It's better just PDFs are more stable.
Okay.
That's
Okay.
good.
All right. If you act quickly, John, we'll be done before 8.
Yes, well, just final call. Anybody have any questions?
Nope.
Otherwise, I think we're adjourned.
All right. Thank you, John. Thank you,
Thank you,
everybody.
gentlemen. Thanks,
Martha.
everybody.
John,
All right,
thank
so
you all.
Peter, how do I end the call? Oh, end. I see it
Well,
ending.
you have to end the recording.
Is that the little X in the right-hand corner?
If you end the call, the recording will stop automatically.
Oh, all right. Here I go.
Thanks.
See you, Martha.
Bye.